Hi everyone. In this video I'm going to give a couple of tips and suggestions on how to fight multiple opponents in Dark Souls 3 PvP. Warning: this guide is mostly aimed at newcomers, so if you're a Souls PvP veteran, you might not learn too much new information from this video. I just thought this could be helpful for maybe some new people who want to get into Dark Souls 3 PvP. When you invade other players in this game, you will, in most cases, end up fighting multiple opponents. This will not be an easy task, so don't worry if this happens to you. This has happened and will happen to all of us invaders at some point. Sometimes you just get overwhelmed and it's okay, just take it like a champ and move on. I have a couple of tips though that might help make this happen a little bit less often. I'm going to use the single invasion here as an example, because it highlights a couple of things I want to say so well. I even make some mistakes in this fight that I want to bring up as examples. So first, we need to find our target. It's useful to know the locations you're invading, like your own pockets, so you'll know your way around and know exactly where the bonfires and other places of interest are located. Also, keep an eye on the monsters in the level. If those are dead, the host has gone through there at some point, and you might find him or her following the trail of dead monsters. On the other hand, in the places where monsters are still alive and not aggroed are the places where the host least likely will be. If the enemies are aggroed, see which direction they are moving at. The host is probably at that direction. I'm telling this because some hosts panic and either try to run for the boss folk door or hide when they see that they are being invaded by a hostile phantom. So in this invasion I decided to head to the halfway temple bonfire direction to look for my target. Ta-da! We find our target, and he is not alone since he has one helping phantom with him. I personally consider this lucky because there could be more helping phantoms protecting the host, and naturally, more phantoms there are, the smaller your chances of killing the host will shrink. Keep in mind that the host of the world is always your main target. If the host dies, your mission is complete, so only kill the helping phantoms to make the getting to the host easier or to get some extra satisfaction. Killing phantoms also grants you Estus, which is useful. Talking about Estus, unlike in previous games, invaders can use Estus flasks during invasions. But keep in mind that invaders only get the half of the amount of Estus that the host of the world has, so you need to basically outplay them to keep up with the healing. There is a way to prevent the host from healing with Estus, and here we come to my first mistake. These babies here are invaders' best friend. Throw this talisman to the host and they can't use their Estus for a while. In this clip I didn't have these on my inventory because these cost like 500 souls per piece and I was out of souls, but you should always have this with you while invading, especially now that the Estus is harder to punish effectively. There is also other type of talisman called the dueling talisman in this game that lets you remove your opponent's weapon buff, which is also very useful. So the first thing I want to pay attention to when looking at my opponents is their fighting arsenal and what do I have to prepare for. Knowledge about weapons and how to fight those comes with time and experience. Remember, knowledge is power in these games. So just by this quick look on my enemies, I can see that the host has some weak pyromancy in use that will be easy to dodge, and a katana that is a fast weapon with nasty running attacks. So those are the things that I'm going to focus on about the host. The helping phantom has a butcher knife that heals a bit of HP with each landed swing, but isn't the most dangerous weapon to deal with in this situation. The first thing I do is drop to the lower platform here and try to lure the host to drop down to me, so he would get separated from his helping phantom. Unfortunately, he doesn't take the bait and I need to eventually make my way back to them. Here I see that the helping phantom has taken position next to the ledge. This usually means that they try to get a plunging attack on you, so avoid getting in too carelessly. The build I'm using here happens to have a partisan as my second weapon that I switched to, since I know I can outrange both of my opponents with it. There, we saw that katana running attack that has good range and is very fast, so that's something I have to keep an eye on. Don't forget to also use the monsters to your advantage if possible. Those can deal some damage to your targets as well, or distract them so you can find a good opportunity to get in. Invaders only have two advantages over the host: monsters and the element of surprise, so use those for your advantage if you can. Learning how to parry different types of attacks is useful. I read that the host here was going for a rolling attack because he rolled straight towards and in front of me, so it was an easy parry to land. Something I cannot emphasize enough is the importance of your first parry in the match. The first parry you ever attempt, whether it lands or not, is the most important parry of the whole match. Because once you do it, your cover is blown, and your opponent knows that you can, or at least are attempting to go for a parry. So most of the opponents start playing differently after they get parried, making it harder to land the second one on them. So always think carefully when to go for the first parry. Also, lag is an unfortunate thing that exists. If you notice that you have lag with your opponent, I would suggest skipping on the parrying, because the timings demand at least decent connection between your opponent to be solid enough. This is another reason why my partisan is a good choice for a weapon when fighting two players at the same time. The weapon art of this weapon covers good horizontal space that hits multiple times, so it's perfect for catching both of them at the same time. Here I noticed that the Helping Phantom tries to apply the weapon-specific buff to his butcher knife. Luckily, I happen to know that it's a very long animation and he will be stuck in it until it's done, so it's basically just free damage dealing opportunity for me. As I said, knowledge is power. As you can see here, the host is clearly more cautious now, especially about his rolling attacks. He rolls to me but doesn't attack, probably to test if I'm going to go for a parry. There, a monster opened up an opportunity for me to deal some quick damage to the host. Here, another monster creates an opportunity for me to land a free backstab on the Helping Phantom. After I backstab the Phantom, I try to immediately parry the host, who starts rapidly attacking me, but unfortunately he gets the hit in before I get my parry out. This is a good thing to keep in mind though. In these situations, people are most likely to spam at you, so in retrospect, this could have been an easy opportunity for a setup parry as well. I always try to keep my opponent's position so that I can see all of them clearly, and optimally could land hits on both. Of course, this gets a little bit trickier with more phantoms in the fight. Here the fight goes on for a little bit without too much happening. Here the Phantom gets impatient and goes for running attack to R1, which is easily parried. I try to finish the Phantom then and there with the jumping attack on Wake Up, which works sometimes, but I miss my timing and end up doing it too early. I noticed that the Phantom is not using Estus even though he's very low on health and has good distance on me. This can only mean one thing: he's out of Estus. This is where I try to put my main focus on the Phantom that is clearly on the defensive. The host starts using rolling attacks again. You already know where this is heading, don't you? While the host is casting, I get an opportunity to finish off the Phantom. And it's right about time for my second mistake. Never get too greedy. The patience I had for the most of the fight carried me until I got too greedy with an easily parryable running attack and lost the match for it. If you lose, you can still learn something valuable for the future invasions. And I'm sure I'll remember to be more patient next time. That's it for my little tips for the day, and I might make more videos similar to this about different scenarios in the future. I hope you have a nice time invading people in Dark Souls 3. Thank you so much for watching and take care.